Excuse me, sorry. I just want to say I'm grooving on your style. I was walking by and my camera found you and was like, so I thought this is creepy. I should let her know that I am, or let them know that I'm doing this,
Thank
right?
you for letting me know.
Yeah.
It's a fishy theme today.
Huh?
It's a fishy theme today.
Oh, what do you mean?
I've got fishy earrings.
Yeah.
And then a turtle necklace. My skirt has fish on it, and my shirt also has fish.
Was that intentional? You got up and said, that's what I want to do today? Why? Why were you in that mood?
I didn't want to get out of bed. And then I was like, okay, if I put on a cute outfit, I'm more likely to want to go outside.
Right.
So that was the mood. Sorry, I'm Yamari.
I'm Douglas.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
You were
meet-
at the opening, right?
Yes, I was. Were you there as well?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
What did you think of it?
It was amazing. I didn't plan on going, actually. My colleague told me, she was like, oh yeah, we're going to see, what is the name of the artist right now? I can't
Camille
remember.
Turner.
Camille's opening. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just kind of came. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of on theme with like water. So,
yeah. What do you, are you in the art world as well?
Yes and no. I say yes and no because I work at the Ontario Arts Council. I don't know. Do you know Bushra Janae?
Yes, I know Bushra. I just was
Yeah,
chatting with her,
so I worked with Bushra.
Great.
And if you know Lisa Werle, she's like blonde. She's been at the OAC for a long time and is friends with Bushra. So yeah, so it was totally unplanned. And I was like, well, this is amazing. I'm glad I came.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great.
But
you don't create art yourself. You're not really.
I DJ, and I've been doing, well, recently that's been a bit on hiatus because a lot's been happening, but I've been just mainly doing like community-based artwork with like friends and yeah, like I live in a co-op. One of my close friends, she's an artist, and so we often she embroiders, I collage, or we're making a big piñata together.
Oh, I love that.
And so it's been very just chill with with intention, but with no intention, right? Like not to just necessarily make anything. So it's somebody Winsome asked me that question earlier. She was like, oh, so you're an artist? And I was like, well, it's a complicated question. But yeah. You?
Yeah. My answer usually is that I'm an art enthusiast, even though people have been telling me that because I walk around and do a lot of documenting of events, and I love these moments because my favorite thing lately is when I'm at events, I end up having conversations like this with people, and that to me is the more powerful thing than the event itself, because even talking to Camille and then talking to people experiences, and that's like you just even starting with what I'm wearing and you know what are you wearing, and it's like, but it goes beyond that, right? You talk
That's
about
true.
the history, the feeling behind it, the context behind it. You're not just like a fashion person with some people, oh, I wore this because it's blah blah blah.
No, it was literally for me to get out of bed this morning.
Exactly.
I was
the
like,
story,
ooh.
and then it connects to why you came and in the art world and da da da.
It was just a day of
and you
coincidences.
Don't create, yeah.
And I think, it's especially nice to see community come out to support someone with, bring that, there's so many different artists and people involved in that exhibition that I could see, and it was great to see people come out and meet each other.
And then you end up sitting here kind of doing work. It's because I thought you were somebody who came, let me just stop and sit here and be outside doing some work, or
kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm not currently, but I was working as a part of a project that's happening at with Myceum. You know Myceum?
Yes, I know Myceum.
So they're having a exhibition, a project called Black Diasporas, and it's opening. I think it's on the Friday, whatever date falls on the Friday. That's the 20th or 21st. I can't remember. And it was basically documenting. Black folks' experiences here in Toronto, and so they reached out, a friend reached out to me because they were looking for somebody who's a part of the Latin American diaspora, and so I interviewed my mom and her journey to coming here. So anyways, I'm like, oh, I have to send pictures and email to someone right now.
Right.
Okay, the weather's nice, so. And I don't normally come to U of T, and I guess because it's a school, there's benches and stuff everywhere. It's not hostile architecture like everywhere else. you can actually sit and hang out. So that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so your heritage is a mix, right?
Yeah. So, well, do you know a lot about like Central America?
A little bit. In fact, my video started with me making a faux pas with somebody who I was following online and watching some of their documentation of them traveling to Mexico and I think it's Guatemala and El Salvador and a couple places.
Are you talking about Armando?
Oh yes, and I mistakenly said, "Oh, I was watching you go through South America." I'm thinking because I think I was trying to remember which countries, and then he kind of went as he would because I know him from before. He kind of went, "Well, just."
Central America.
I actually was in Mexico and Central America, not South America, and I a little bit of an edge. And I thought, right, slap, right, because those little moments are almost like kind of my own experience of that. It's almost like violence in some ways when people just don't understand that that's not the region, right? So anyway, so when you said that, and it's funny because the other thing that's been happening lately is because I've been fascinated with the presence of people of Jamaican heritage in Costa Rica.
Yes.
In large numbers.
So actually,
right?
my family's from Nicaragua, but from the Caribbean coast.
Right.
So we have similar history and shared history with like the Caribbean coasts of other like Central American countries. So like Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, and so my family's like Black and Indigenous from Nicaragua, and like similar to Costa Rica. And I think it's the same group of like peoples who like escaped from like the ships and then made their homes with like indigenous groups in Central America. So, but then also there was a lot of Jamaican migrants that came to Central America during the Banana Republic. And so, yeah, anyways, that's my background. I asked because not a lot of people know that history of Central America. And so I was talking about it a little bit with Winsome, and I don't know where I was going with this background. Yeah.
No, because I asked you the question.
Yeah.
So no, because when you referenced Black and your mother and stories, and I thought, oh, right, because I would not normally have assumed that about you. I would look at you and think, oh, indigenous, right? So that's
yeah,
kind of
like
right?
in Nicaragua has the highest population of like Black folks in Central America.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, like it's like the Caribbean coast. Like actually, they speak like they call it Mosquito Coast Creole, and it sounds kind of like patois, basically. So if you hear my mom speak, you're like, oh, okay. And like that region is a lot more diverse than what people think.
Right.
And like culturally, it's super different from the Pacific coast. Like I'm more used to like for example, tortillas. Like corn tortillas is not something that's very common where my family's from, but we eat bread kind, right? So like breadfruit, green banana, those kinds of things. So we actually have a lot more culturally similar with the rest of the Caribbean than like the Pacific coast. Like the Caribbean part of Costa Rica, and parts of it and Honduras but was the region called the Mosquito Coast. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So like my grandfather, he used to travel between Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, like the Caribbean coast, and also there's an island off the coast of Nicaragua that currently is a part of Colombia, but is like similar like culturally to the rest of like the region that I'm describing. That's like primarily Black, I think a bit indigenous, but primarily Black, and they speak their own like Creole, like patois, sort of like English. So yeah, it's not a lot of people know about it. So I'm always like, doing this project with Black diasporas. My mom was like talking a little bit about it, and like there's not that many of us at least from the Nicaraguan side here. I would say not a big diaspora, but pretty diverse. Toronto's crazily diverse, but there's also so much more in common than we realize that we have.
Yeah, well, it's that interwoven histories, right? Because of colonial histories, right? And it's funny because I've been coining this term that I call colonial chaos, and how even where we sit and where we stand, even when we look at this as being organized, because I was thinking about somebody complaining about like being in New York and wandering around, and you see these street vendors, right? And of course, the right particularly Republicans have a whole narrative around, oh, these people coming across the border, they get more benefits, but they also mess up the city, like New York messed up the city. And I was walking through and I was thinking about it and I thought, but actually what's messed up the city is this. This looks like organized, structured, but imagine what was here before and the people who were here before and how this represented them.
It's like lawns.
Right. Like all these things that we think as organized and whatever, but it's reflections of the colonization that happened, that destroyed what was here before. And so I always think of, even when we think about Toronto and the construction of even how we begin to participate in that conversation, because I even think about how, I was watching something and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm part of the colonial violence here. That even my presence, my body here, my own kind of aspiration, my own kind of thing, if it's not in sync with what the first peoples who are here, just like where we come from, right? Our heritages, we think about that history and we think, but we're participating in something here as well. And what does it mean to be accountable in that participation? And so I've been thinking about it because I think it's done, we're here, it's kind of a mess,
and
we're
some of
in
us
it.
Didn't mean to be here.
Exactly.
Right? Like my parents totally did not wake up one day and be like, I want to come to Canada. Like, that did not happen.
Exactly.
It was forced displacement.
Exactly,
basically.
right? I mean, because the reality is that some of us are economic migrants based on the realities of globalization that has actually constructed, inequalities and equities in the places that we grew up, where we had to, how do we because at the end of the day, we got to feed our families, we got to take care of ourselves. We also have our own aspirations within the context of what is, which is why I try also not to lob things at other people, because some people are like, I know that people's do it. And I said, well, which of us aren't negotiating all of this mess to various degrees, right, of accountability, of intentionality of how we act.
That's true.
But we're all at different times having to, I was thinking the other day about, if I have to take an airplane, I mean, I'm always negotiating some system of colonization.
You also feel a bit of guilt too, but then I don't know, it's complicated.
It is.
Complicated.
Well, it is, right? I think that's what you were saying earlier around, there's so many different narratives within our experiences to still explore and to uncover. But I guess the work is to constantly be as honest as we can. Like once we know better, you do better, or, we just keep talking about it and being honest about it.
And challenging yourself.
And challenging ourselves, right? And being part of story making that keeps provoking some other possibility beyond just what's here, because again, our bodies being here, at one point there was legislation that says our bodies couldn't be here,
and at an institution like this one,
having the jobs we have, do what we do, right? Having space and time that even our parents didn't have to even stop and have a moment like this, right? Because they were so tired from working or into the next job or trying to figure out what we need, So anyway, we could go on.
That's true. But sorry, your name again?
Douglas.
Yamari.
How do you spell that?
Yamari. Yamari.
Yes, and I'm Doujalas. Douglas. Glas. Are you on Instagram?
I am.
Are you comfortable saying that on here or not?
Yeah. So it's SOY.YAMRI.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
But are you on Instagram?
I am. I am Cloglo. CLOGLO.
Cloglo.
Yeah,
Are you following Bushra?
Yes, I'm following Bushra.
Okay, then I'll find you that way.
Yeah,
Bushra knows everyone. Bushra knows everyone.
No, she's a treasure. Right? Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was just thinking about, because I just had this encounter where I was at a food fair and I go up to this space, this sort of vendor, and of course they've got Heart of South America was what they're called. And I talked to them and then I said, but what part of South? And then they actually said Heart of South America. And they said, we're actually Bolivian. I said, oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever met any Bolivians. I'm sure I'm seeing people I don't know to talk to. And then they said, there's not a lot of us here. And I said, and even at your food, how is the food different or whatever? And so they were just talking. So it was a little moment of just realizing, even from Nicaragua, and I say with Nicaraguans, I don't think I always meet, lots of Mexicans, lots of, I think of Guatemalans even. I think of just different places where I meet lots of people.
Chileans, there's a lot of
Peruvians, whatever,
Brazilians,
restaurants, businesses. When I think, I do know one Nicaraguan
there
restaurant.
There is one. There's only
on
one.
Bloor Street.
Yeah, it's
that I go
good.
to.
It is very good.
Yeah.
It's now becoming I keep seeing people on like TikTok or Instagram talk about this hidden gem, and I was like, no, keep it, please. Let me go and get my food in peace, not fight with people.
La Bella Managua, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah. There is another Nicaraguan cafe that opened near Oakwood and Vaughan.
Okay.
Very recently.
Okay.
But it's more like cafe vibes, less food.
The Bolivian, she is just this catering. She doesn't have a storefront yet. But as most people, she says, I'm working towards a day when maybe I can do that. But she said she's quite busy. She does quite well.
Yeah.
Because among her Bolivian community, but also other South Central and Latin American community, people have heard of her and they want her food. They want to try it, right? So,
Yeah, Bolivian food is pretty good.
Yeah.
I was in Bolivia some time ago. Got really good drinks. Like warm drinks.
Mm.
And there was this peanut soup that I had that was like, and the next time I had like a peanut stewy thing was like a Cote d'Ivoirian place in Morocco. And I was like, wow, this is so similar, but from two completely
I
different
know.
places.
Well, that's like my favorite thing, Filipino dish is kari kari, which is like peanut sauce, oxtail and peanut sauce. It's so good.
Is it? I've never tried it.
It's so good. If you're ever in a Filipino restaurant, ask for it. It's called kari kari.
Kari.
Yeah. And it's like, because I'm Jamaican background, and of course, oxtail is one of our things. But then you add peanut to it.
Oh, the richness.
It's so good. It's so good, and the meat is cooked really nice and tender. So it's got almost the flavor of almost like a Jamaican style. But then you add the peanut, and it just
Adds a next layer to it.
exactly elevates it to a whole other level. So anybody watching this, kari kari, order it.
Yes.
Anyway, it was a pleasure.
Yes, it was nice to meet you, Douglas.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll bump into each other again.
Again and again and again. Thanks for the conversation.
Nice.
All right, take care and fly.
Fly.
Looking fly. You look fly. Enjoy. Take care. All right.